Hello students of ISC Computer Science, greetings to all of you. My videos will be containing your syllabus and slowly will be covering the entire curriculum of the computer science paper. As all of you must be aware of, this paper is of two parts, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1, that's the theory paper, it is of 70 marks, and paper 2, that's 30 marks. So this comprises of your 100 marks paper. All of you must have been studying computer science in the last 2 years at least, and you are all aware of the syllabus and the curriculum. There have been certain changes and certain modifications in the pattern of the question and the examination. So this video will be covering up the syllabus of computer science for class 12, and we will be discussing about the pattern of the questions as well. Now, as all of you know, the computer science paper is having three parts: section A, section B and section C. Now when we talk about section A completely consists of the Boolean algebra and the logic gates. The first unit, that is Boolean algebra, it consists of proposition logic. You have to understand the different proposition logic in this part. Then you have to understand the basic postulates of the Boolean algebra, and then the different theorems of Boolean algebra, that's the duality theorem and the different logics which will be applied. So you will be understanding about the duality theorem, De Morgan's theorem. This will be a part of your curriculum. Then comes your second part, that is computer hardware. Now this computer hardware consists of the basic logic gates, AND, OR and NOT, the universal gates NAND and NOR, and the exclusive gates XOR and XNOR. So this will be helping you to understand the logic of the different logic gates, how they are used, what is their use, and then the combinational gates as well you will be studying, which are the NAND and the NOR gates, and the exclusive gates. You have to understand the application of the logic gates, the various applications of logic gates. This consists of the encoder, decoder and multiplexer, plus half adder and full adder. That is also a part of your curriculum. We will be discussing in detail about the various topics. So this was about your section A. Now section B consists of Java. You have been studying Java since your class 9th. You must have been studying. So this basically consists of the implementation of algorithm. That is again a part of your practical where you write the algorithm of the programs. Then programming, that is what you have studied in your class 11th. This will be consisting of all the basics of the programming, then the methods, constructors. These are all a part of your class 11th curriculum. So they will again be coming up here. You will be discussing string, you will be studying array. Then you will be getting object. What is object? Object is basically the data attributes, behaviors. Object as instance of a class. Constructors, you will be also studying the primitive values, that is the wrapper classes, typecasting, that's there. So these all things you will be studying. Then you have variables and expressions. The variables, that's the names of the values, the different constant, different data types, that is the part of your curriculum. Then statements, means here you get the statements like if else, the different for, while loops, switch case, ternary operators, these are all there. Then methods, that's also there, so you will be studying methods are also here. Then comes arrays and strings. Array, you have to understand this arrays and strings, they are equally important for your theory as well as for the practical, because you will be getting questions in your practical examination also. We will be discussing in one video about your practical examination. We will be discussing how to attempt those practical papers as well. So in array you need to study also the address calculation. You get a question from address calculation every time, so address calculation is there. Again in programming part you need to understand the linear search, binary search, selection sort, bubble sort, merge sort and insertion sort in case of a single dimension array. And in double dimension array again you need to study and understand the basic components of the double dimension array. There you need to know the making the programs, input of data, output of data, and again different applications, getting a transpose of a matrix, finding revolving a matrix into a certain angle. So all these things are there and you need to understand that. So these all are a part of your second part, that is array calculation, you will be there getting. Once then now it is done, then you will getting section C, where you have to get the concept of recursion. All those programs which you have studied in array or string or basic program, it can come also as a part of a recursion, where you get a recursive function in one of the functions, one of the other functions, that is a recursive function. So you need to understand and implement the logic of recursion when you are making these programs. Then you have inheritance, interface and polymorphism. So there will be one question of inheritance in which you will be applying the logic of inheritance to create the subclass. You have to consider the superclass that it is already defined, and you will not be asked to define the main class, main function, but only the subclass has to be made. You need to understand the basic logic of interface, how it is used in a program, so interface also is important. Then you need to understand data structure, that is again a part which is important. You will be getting questions in the part 1 as well as data structure in section C will be there. So data structure, certain things, basic data structure like a stack, queue, circular queue, DQ. A normal queue, a circular queue and a DQ is there. So you need to understand the different data structures, stack and queue have to be done. And then once you are done with it, then again you have the linked list. Single linked list is there, so you need to understand the algorithm part and the programming of a single linked list. Then you need to understand tree. What is a binary tree? Tree traversal is important. You need to get the logic, understand the basic terms related to tree, so that you are able to understand the concept of a tree. And then one more chapter, that is the complexity and big O notation. So once you are clear with the syllabus, these all things are you have to study. Now let us plan out what is the pattern of the examination of the ISC 2025 paper. What is the basic structure which you will be getting, and what is the pattern of the question paper? So when we talk about the pattern of the question paper, as you all know, this question paper is of 70 marks. It's a 3 hours paper. You get additional 15 minutes for reading the question paper. The paper is of 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 has a compulsory section, all the questions are compulsory, there are 2 questions in it, and part 2 is divided into 3 sections, section A, section B and section C. Now when we talk about part 1 there are part 1 is a 20 marks question, in which the question number 1 is a 10 marks question, where you get questions from the different logic of Boolean algebra. You can get question, MCQ question, you can get assertion reason based questions, you can get questions from the basic theorems of Boolean algebra, you can also get questions from K-map, you can get questions from different programming logic can be there. So these things help you in understanding the program. Maximum of these questions are application based questions. So around 8 questions will be MCQ, and there will be 2 questions. Certain definitions can be there, or certain application of logic gates can be there. So question number 1, there are 10 questions, you have to attempt all the questions. Talking about question number 2. Question number 2, there are 5 questions of 2 marks each. One question will be of address calculation. One question will be of converting an infix to prefix or postfix. There can be question where you have to get the output. It can be from methods, it can be from inheritance, it can be from any topic of Java, it can be there. Then again there can be questions where you have to attempt questions like certain programs are there, you have to find the output, or there are the certain programs in which certain options are given blank and you have to fill those blanks. So these questions will be there in question 2. So question 2 again, it can be 4 to 5 questions, all questions are compulsory. Next let us talk about part 2. Part 2 now it is of 50 marks. There are 3 sections in it, section A, section B and section C. And in all the 3 sections, there are 3 questions out of which you have to attempt only 2 questions. Like section A, there are 2 questions, question number 3, question number 4 and question number 5. All the questions are of 10 marks each, and you have to attempt any 2 questions. Now one of the questions will be a question where you have been given a scenario, given a situation, you have to make a K-map out of it. First you will make the truth table out of it. Once the truth table is done, you will make a K-map to reduce it. First you will make a truth table. Based on the truth table, you will reduce a SOP expression or a POS expression. Based on that expression, you will make a K-map to reduce it, and once it is done, you will make the logic circuit for the same. That will be a 10 marks question. One question where you will be getting a K-map to reduce it. One will be from SOP and one will be from POS. So we will be discussing about them also in detail. So SOP or POS will be there. Then there will be questions where you have been given certain logic, certain application of logic gate, certain questions will be there. It can be 3 to 4 questions involving of 2 or 3 marks, and then you have to attempt that question. So out of this question number 3, 4 and 5, you will attempt any 2 questions. Section A consists of question only from the Boolean algebra. So Boolean algebra is a section which you must do it well, because it comprises of minimum 25 to 30 marks of questions are there from Boolean algebra. So if you do Boolean algebra well, and it is a part, very scoring part, and if you do it well, you will be able to get marks. Talking about section B. Section B can contain a question from a string. It can also contain a question where the recursion logic is there. So it will be containing one question from string. There will be multiple methods, and you have to use the methods accordingly. You have to create the main function. As per the guidelines, you also must express the statements which are there. So some statements or some comments have to be given along with every method or every statement which you are using. You must give any certain comments in your programs. Then next question can be from array, where you have been given question from array. It will be again a multiple statements question. There will be multiple methods, and you have to use those methods in your program to get the logic. There can also be programs from object creation, where you have to make multiple objects and link those objects. So these 3 questions can be there from string, from array, from object creation, and out of these again you have to attempt any 2 questions. Programs must have comments specified in the program. Variable description is not compulsory. If you want, you can write the program, but comments is compulsory to be written along with every function, every program. Comments must be given. Then comes your section C. Section C again, it is a 10 marks section in which there are 3 questions, and out of these 3 you have to attempt any 2 questions. So 10 marks you will get from this section. Now in this question you will be getting one question from inheritance. That's a compulsory part. That's confirmed that you will be getting one question from inheritance. One question you will be getting from any of the data structure part, that is stack or a queue or a linked list. You will get one question. There also you have to make only the specified functions which have been given in the question. You have to write those functions only. You do not have to make the main function. So that will be a 5 marks question, where as per the method specified for push, pop, or if it is a queue or it is a linked list, whichever methods are specified, you will make that methods only based upon the question's logic. Main function, as I told, not to be written. Then there will be one question from inheritance, in which you have to write only the subclass, the superclass, and the main function do not need to be written. Then one question you will be getting from, it will be containing to asking you to write an algorithm of any of the data structure based parts, like a stack or a queue or a linked list. And then you can get question from tree. It can be to identify different parts of a tree. It can be to identify or to write the traversal in order, pre-order, or the post-order traversal of the tree. So based upon this. So I conclude with that if you want to understand the programs and the computer systems, computer science paper in a proper way, you need to understand all those things. That is Boolean algebra, Java, and data structure. If you do all these programs in a proper way, if you do all those things in a proper way, make a systematic plan of your attempt of your questions, which questions to be attempted from part 1, everything is compulsory. Part 2, section A, 2 out of 3. Section B, 2 out of 3, and section C, you have to attempt 2 again out of 3. So judiciously define what has to be done. These address calculation questions, there you need to write the formula as well. We'll be discussing one by one on all the questions when we discuss all the chapters. That time it will be more clear. I want all the students to follow this sequence and the series of classes so that you are able to stay updated and understand the syllabus of computer science in a proper way. Thank you. Wish you all the best for your coming examination.